Most people in life are looking for how do I make a life worth living and a retirement worth having. And when I say this, people don't always like it. They don't always like it because they're not sure what to do to get to retirement. They recognize they've had a career, but it might not have produced for them a result of a residual or of a long term income stream that will carry them into retirement. And practically, that means that they'll be working a long time beyond the years that most people really want to work. Here I am at age 51, and I totally need to have my naps during the day. Whether I nap in the morning, whether I nap in the afternoon, I still need those 2 hours to rest and let my mind kind of drift away. The challenge for me when I sleep is that the only person I see when I sleep is the one I love. And that's been really difficult, certainly, but it's been gifted from above. Now, when I talk about life, I'm talking about the fact that we all have strife. But if we all have strife, then whose strife is more important? Is my strife more important than your strife? Is your strife more important than my strife? And whose strife is most important to the Lord above who's watching? You see, people are always playing this one-upsman game of, oh, you've got a story? Well, I'm going to tell you my story on top of your story to tell you that I understand and I get you and I feel you because I had this story. The late Steve Shapiro, who wrote The Gift of Listening, a wonderful audio CD and book, talks about how when people speak, we just need to listen. We need to listen, we need to take notes, we need to try to mirror back to them the things that they say, but there's always a manipulator who tries to get in the way. The manipulator tries to take the things we say and turn it into something negative in some way. The manipulator is always trying to create crisis, always trying to create mini dramas, always trying to create things that people can gossip about. The one thing that we've learned from the teenage years and from all the movies on television that talk about the mean girls and the things that they do is that the truth is that gossip harms lives. Gossip leads to difficulties. Gossip leads to job loss. Gossip leads to people thinking they have power over other people's lives that they really don't have. In the world of men, we don't gossip. We share information, we provide it back and forth, and if we like the idea of working together, we do it. I can recall having a business meeting with a man I had met at a networking event for career finders, people looking for jobs. I invited him out because I saw his skill sets and I thought he and I might be able to get involved with doing some new audiocast selling. Audiocasts are great tools because people can listen, they can multitask, they can rewind while they're doing their things, and they can be just fine. The problem is that people don't like change. People want everything to stay the same. And I have family members, extended family members, what we would call in the legal terms of third-party family members, that don't want change for my life. They actually want to retro my life, take me back to a childhood state, and act as though they have some power in my life. If they had wanted power in my life, then they should have been my greatest advocate. They should have been my greatest helper. They should have shown up when I was closing my house down. They should have invited me to a meal when my wife left and departed this earth. And openly, I'm just being honest. You see, people's trust, people's loyalty is earned through conversation, through loving times, and literally through laughter and rebirth. When a person is trying to protect their life, they will often move to another city. Sometimes they'll take on a nickname that may or may not be pretty. I've certainly met plenty of men in the homeless, traveling community that have no desire to get jobs. They would rather give up their plasma, take in a little bit of cash, and then literally party the rest of the time. That is not my case. I'm not a professional panhandler. I am not a professional manhandler either. What I don't like is waking up and finding my clothes disheveled, my beautiful silk shirts cut, as if someone decided to just pull up my shirts and rip something up a seam. What I'm worried about is how a person of a poor background literally might have programmed me like a monkey's uncle. Let's think about that a minute. There was a movie a long time ago called Universal Soldier in which people got programmed to do things. Another film, Star Wars, shows how we take humanoids and literally program them, and we turn them into war machines to fight for our lives, to protect our cities, to do all sorts of things, but they're all based off one chromosome or one person's DNA type. All of this in sci fi is possible today. The question is whether or not we should play with it. If people who play in this don't understand the realm, they might forget who made the realm. You see, in life we have to prove whether or not we understand who God is. Who God is not some fancy music on a Sunday afternoon. Who God is a loving Father that tries to give lessons to his sons and daughters. The trouble is that sometimes our sons become our daughters and our daughters become our sons, and people who understand this concept don't really care. The truth is we all have to make a life worth living in retirement with having, and no matter who you are and what you do, having a love interest is sort of important to you. It's also important to our Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Sex is one of those things that we're all supposed to enjoy. It's one of the 5 hierarchy of needs. The 5th is self-actualization, which means we get to have the right to decide what we're going to do, how we're going to determine our life's going to go, and where we will invest our time and energy to allow us to grow. Now, when I say these things, people sort of forget that when we are working, we're sort of doing that. And if we're miserable in our job, then it's our job to make a life change, a city change, a state change, sometimes a country state change, to begin again, to start anew, to build afresh, to help our children grow, to let them have old friends and new friends, and let them know that it's okay not to be content in every second of the day. But there are people that destroy happiness in the world. They literally go after people that they have no connection with, no relationship with, and know anything about. And they simply decide to attack their life because they learned something through gossip that really shouldn't be out. In life, we have to learn how to say, that's interesting, but that's not my information to pass along today. You see, there's 2 different types of gossips. There's a gossip that takes information in and says nothing, never ever utilizing the information. Then there's another that might listen but use the information.